Well, thanks everyone for doing that. So now that we've heard from everyone in our little Zoom room, I'll hand it over to you, Jillian, to share with us lots more about whether we've heard of it or not, to share a lot more about it. And thank you again for being here. We so appreciate you making the time to be with us.
Of course. Thanks so much for inviting me. Always happy. I'm actually live in Wicker Park right now, so I'm a neighbor, but I'm moving to Ukrainian Village, but not too far away. So, yeah, and so I know, thanks all for sharing. There are Lutheran social services all over the United States, which is great. I know I moved here from Georgia, actually, and so the Lutheran social services there does a lot of refugee work. But LSSI of Illinois doesn't do any refugee work. So it's interesting to see the differences between all the organizations. But I'm going to go ahead and give you an overview of what LSSI does. And yeah, we have a handful of we have a lot of different programs throughout the state. And you can feel free to ask questions during the presentation, but I'll also have time at the end to answer any questions you might have. And yeah, so I'm Jillian. I work on our fundraising and communications team. And I kind of do a lot of our grant writing and help fund the programs that we do. But we really couldn't do what we do without you, individuals, congregations, and all the support that we get from the community. So I love talking to people in the community to talk about our programs. So, all right. So LSSI's mission is to bring healing, justice, and wholeness to people and communities. We were actually started in 1867 due to a cholera pandemic or epidemic. So it unfortunately ties nicely into what's been happening this year. We began caring for orphan children who were orphaned because of their parents passed away from the disease. And we still do a lot of foster care work today. So we've been around for over 150 years, and we are an arm of the ELCA. We serve about 1 in every 290 people, which is pretty crazy in the state when you really think about it. And most of those people have annual household incomes under $25,000 a year. So the 5 main categories of people that we serve are children and families through our foster care and intact family services. Our behavioral health patients, we have mental health and substance use treatment programs. Older adults, so we provide housing for older adults who are low income and home care in their homes. People with disabilities, we have group homes throughout the state, as well as community care. And then returning citizens, so people and families who've been impacted by incarceration, whether it's people re-entering society or families who have a loved one that's been incarcerated or is re-entering. So we call them returning citizens, which that's kind of how we refer to people who are reintegrating into society. So I'm going to go a little bit more into each of the service areas I just talked about. Our children's community services are throughout the state. You can see, I like maps a lot, so there's a few maps included in here to show kind of our 12 different sites and counties that we serve. We're one of the largest providers of foster care in the state. I think we might be the largest. We're always kind of right there. We served over 2,700 children last year. We work with the whole family, the child, the caregivers, and the foster parents to provide case management and counseling. Our goal is always to return the children to their family when possible, but if that's just not possible, we also help with the adoption process. And then our intact family services is kind of the step before families go into the foster care system. So it's families that have come to the attention of the Department of Children and Family Services, but we work with those families to prevent them from entering the foster care. service. So one of our Intact Family Service workers described it as kind of helping parents bring their A game to the table. So working with whatever brought them to the attention of DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services. We want to help them like stabilize and strengthen so that the children can stay at home and not enter the system. Our Chicago office specifically offers both foster care and Intact Family Services. We worked with 337 families in Chicago last year. And Chicago, by Chicago, I mean like Cook County, essentially. So we have an office, we have offices in Chicago. We also have an office in Aurora, and that Aurora office does kind of the collar counties, and our Chicago office works with people all over Cook County. So we have 3 different types of foster care: traditional foster care, specialized foster care for children with kind of more serious medical, emotional, or behavioral problems. And then we started our therapeutic foster care program in 2017, which is for children 6 through 14 who would be placed in institutions, inpatient care. We want to keep them out of that and in the community with families. So that's a pretty intensive program, but it's been really great. And we actually just started a second team to serve more children in Chicago. So it's been a really great program to help people in the community, to help children with severe behavioral challenges. And actually, in COVID, we have, throughout the pandemic, we've actually seen an increase in the number of children taken into foster care, which is that we're not really sure why, like what has contributed, but it is clear that the services are needed during the pandemic or not. I'll talk a little bit more too about how our programs adjusted specifically to the pandemic, but all the programs I'm talking about are still happening regardless of COVID. So, and then, yeah, so our the Chicago office works with a lot of children. So we worked with 443 children last year. And so we also provide services for older adults. Our In Touch home care program is also in Cook County. It's non-medical assistance for older adults in their homes. So it's to prevent people from going into nursing homes or higher level of care unnecessarily when they really just need like 15 to 30 hours a week of help, grocery shopping, meal planning, medication reminders. And this has been increasingly important during the pandemic as well, because a lot of people are, extra vulnerable, older adults, to COVID. So helping with grocery shopping and even companionship as well. I know being stuck at home, it can get pretty lonely. And so, yeah, and then we also have affordable housing for low-income older adults at 19 different locations throughout the state. So we have, so that people there pay about 30% of their income, depending. And so we have about 1,200 units total. So it's a really great program. And so we also have housing for individuals with developmental disabilities. We've been doing this almost since our beginning for a long time. These are also kind of scattered throughout the state. And they really are there to help individuals live in a structured and supportive environment, but live as independently as possible. So our community integrated living, that's just kind of a fancy name for group homes. But those provide wraparound services, and we have those in Chicago as well as Sterling, Illinois. And then we have Prader-Willi homes, which a lot of people haven't heard of this. It's a genetic condition that causes people to never feel full. So you're always kind of hungry, so people can literally eat themselves to death if not monitored. And we're the only place in Illinois that provides these. They used to have to send people to other states to receive treatment for this, but we have a couple different Prader-Willi homes we really help work with the residents to help them thrive and live independently. Our intermediate care facilities is located in Homer Glen, so not too far from Chicago, but that's the majority of people there are wheelchair bound, have cerebral palsy, and some different complex medical needs. And then we have one home, the Fox Trail home, we partner with St. Mark's Lutheran Church in Aurora, and they have one of our homes for adults with autism. And then we also provide community-based services, so similar to kind of the home care program, where we'll go to someone's home for 15 to 30 hours a week to help them with needs. It's for people who don't want to live in a group setting, want to live on their own, but still need some of that, even maybe just helping creating a routine, personal care, that kind of stuff. Then our prisoner and family ministries is actually based out of Marion, Illinois, so Southern Illinois, which is where we do a lot of our case management and reentry services. But we also, I don't know the exact statistic, but a lot of people incarcerated in prisons throughout Illinois come from Cook County disproportionately. So a lot of the families are in Cook County in Chicago. So we work with a lot of families here. The Storybook Project, being a book lover, a book nerd, this is one of my favorite LSSI programs. Don't tell. But the Storybook Project is where volunteers go into 14 prisons and jails throughout the state and work with parents to read a book to their children. So they record it, and then we send the recording and the book to the child so that they can, read a bedtime story with mom or dad, even though they're not there. This is a program that has been stalled by the pandemic. Unfortunately, we can't go into, it's just not safe for volunteers to go into the jails, but we're hoping to kind of transition it virtually. We're working with some of the prisons to maybe try and record people over Zoom doing it, but definitely will start the program back up again when it's safe. And then our Visits to Mom program is part of this as well. It's where we have kids from Chicago. We take them to the correctional facility. It's usually Decatur Correctional Facility, which is a women's prison, to visit their moms. So so we usually do 3 to 4 trips a year. You probably can't really read that note, but it's just a thank you, kind of talking about how it's from a caregiver who's caring for children 4 and 5 years old, and they've been able to see their mom and look forward to the visits and think about how life might be when she comes home, maintain that relationship. There's just not a lot of options, or a lot of families wouldn't be able to go to visit because it's really far away. And that program has been going on for a long time. Again, this is one that has had to have been put on hold, but we have been able to do some video calls with children and incarcerated parents. So that's been one way to help keep the connection. All right, and then we also provide mental health services. For our children's mental health services, we do a lot of work in Chicago public schools, as well as crisis services, which I'll talk about on the next slide. Our adult services, we have a mobile crisis team, which is actually expanding. You can call our central intake number, and I'll talk about it a little bit on the next slide as well, but we're working with the city to expand that program, which is exciting. We also have our Project Impact is in 6 emergency departments throughout Chicago. So if someone comes into the emergency room and they have a mental health, substance use issue where it's not actually a physical thing, but maybe they don't have anywhere else to go or don't know how to access care, we have caseworkers there who can get them connected to the right thing. Or even if they are having some physical needs as well as behavioral health, we're able to connect them to the appropriate care so that they're not being admitted to the emergency room if it's not necessary. And then we also have the Welcoming Center, which was started across from our original Project Impact location, and it's a walk-in place where individuals can go if they're just having if they need help with mental health services. We're working on making that a 24/7 program as well, and recently expanded to serving children. So that was started in 2015. So we're keep trying to ramp it up and make it as best as possible. So yeah, our mobile crisis team is a 24-hour day screening program for people of all ages. It started with children in 2004, and we added services for adult in 2018. And people can call a central intake number, and our mobile crisis professionals will go to them in the community. It's to work to stabilize them at their home or in the community to avoid any unnecessary emergency room visits or hospitalizations, or even if they just don't know how to access behavioral health treatment, we can go to them and help with that. This is something that has been going on even during COVID-19. We go out in person with full PPE as often as possible, and then we continue to work with them either in person or online when possible, just depending on the situation. So then our Step Up School-Based Counseling is also a program I like to highlight. It is, so because of the mobile crisis, we saw a lot of kids calling, or people calling because they were at the point of crisis, and we wanted to work with them before they got to that point. So this program has expanded rapidly. So we started in 2016 in 5 schools, and right now we're in 55 schools across the city. It started in more of the kind of like northwest side. You can see where all the dots are, but we've now expanded more to the west side and south side and are continuing to grow. Which we work with the kids. We are usually in person at the school. This year we've been virtual, but we still meet during the school day and like work with teachers so we don't disrupt their schedules. And then our substance use treatment. Full array of substance use treatment. So wherever you are at, we helped about 3,200 people last year with substance use treatment. Medication-assisted detox is sometimes the first step when people need to detox from whatever alcohol or drug addiction. It's 3 to 5 days, and we have a nurse who's with them 24/7 to help them safely transition or so that they're so that they can come off whatever their addiction is. And then we also have residential rehabilitation, which is a 30-day program. So after people are done with medication assisted detox, if they need it, or if they just come to us, they can go to this inpatient program for 30 days with group therapy and counseling to become sober and work on their journey to recovery. We have outpatient treatment as well that is for the community at large. We offer this in Chicago, Elgin, and Sterling. And then we also have a Healthy Start Recovery Home. We have one in Chicago, and then we just opened one in Elgin. So that was poorly timed because we opened it in February of last year. So it took a little while to kind of get going. But that one's specifically for opioid use. But it's about a year-long program where people can just live and receive, and they're in our substance use treatment facilities. So there's outpatient counseling right on site, and there's a peer support person who lives there, and it's just a substance-free living place. And our sober living homes are similar, they're just more long-term. So we have two buildings, homes in the Rogers Park neighborhood. All right, and so kind of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, I talked about it a little bit in each program, but really it's been almost a year now. So I would say in the first, which is pretty crazy to think about, in the first couple of months, we really had to adjust, but now we've kind of gotten into the rhythm, as many people have had to do. We started a task force who kind of looked at everything, and we made our program adjustments. When we can do telehealth, we do, if it makes sense for everybody. So we do have kind of a robust telehealth system now, which is great. We did receive a PPP loan and money from the Illinois COVID Rapid Response fund, which has been really helpful. So even though we've had to make a lot of program adjustments, and a lot of our individuals needed basic needs assistance, so we provided a lot of rent and mortgage payments, utilities, food, etc. LSSI is in a good position, and we are working to expand the programs that we've really seen, kind of like we've talked about. A lot of our mental health and substance use treatment programs have been in high demand due to COVID, as well as we're also adding a physical service so at one of our behavioral health sites, we're partnering with Aunt Martha's to provide physical health care as well as behavioral health care. So we're trying to partner with a lot of places that provide physical health care to make sure that we're covering all the bases of everybody. Do we have time for just a quick video? I can skip it if we don't. Not sure where we are with time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can leave it towards the end, and if we run out of time after questions, or if we still have time after questions and everything.
Sure, yeah. And I'm almost finished. I know I've been talking a lot, so we'll skip that for now. But I wanted to share a few ways to get involved with LSSI. So we actually have a virtual, these are all virtual events, tour of our school-based counseling program coming up on March 20th. It's a free event via Zoom that our Women's Network is hosting. So if you're interested in learning more, I can send out links. It's all on our website as well. And then Lutheran Day is something we do every year in partnership with other Lutheran organizations. And it's really our big advocacy event. So we're going to have, it's virtual this year. Normally we go down to Springfield. But we're going to talk about kind of advocacy and how it impacts social services, including Lutheran social services. That's also a free event you can register for. And then our Spring Fling fundraiser is going to be a series of virtual events, like a cooking class, cocktail making class, that kind of stuff. And so tickets aren't available for that yet, but I believe it's going to be $30 to $40 to do all the events and the thing, because that's one of our fundraisers. So, and then we also have an associate board, which is a way that young professionals can get involved with LSSI. And yes, we have, and then we also have the Women's Network, which is a group of women who support LSSI as well and help in events. And that's it. Thank you all so much. We really couldn't do what we do without all the community support and the church and ELCA support. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. I know it's a lot of information. I'm happy to share the slides and our website and Facebook. We post a lot on our Facebook page, so that's a good way to stay up to date with what's going on with LSSI as well.
Great. Thank you so much for all of that wonderful information. Yeah, are there any questions for Jillian?
I don't really have a question, but I'm just overwhelmed at the amount of programs you all have. I mean, it is amazing. I had no idea. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no, that's what we get. A lot of people know about maybe one of our programs if they've heard of LSSI or certain things, but it does really, I like to brag about all the great work that our people do. That's part of my job, which I love. So
yeah,
Curious, as we sort of pandemic over the next week, what do you see LSSI's greatest need in?
Our greatest need as we kind of come out of the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question. But I think probably so we haven't really been able to utilize volunteers during the pandemic, which is a bummer, but I'm really hopeful that we can kind of move back toward utilizing volunteers, really just support in terms of spreading the word about our services. That's one of the things that we're always really trying to do. Yeah, I am not sure. We're lucky that we have been able to expand a little bit, and yeah, so just I think any kind of monetary support, but also volunteering or just kind of spreading the word about LSSI is always really helpful. So yeah, Joseph, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you for everything, Juliana. It was really great. My question is, how does LSSI bring Jesus Christ and the gospel within the services that they provide to the people that you're servicing?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of, our mission statement is to respond to the gospel. And I think one thing is we don't, force the gospel on anybody. Anyone can receive our services. But I think through everything we do, and the mission of the organization, all of our, our leadership and everything, we're always focusing on on the physical, kind of like how Jesus, all his acts and what he has done inspires a lot of what we do. It's not the best answer for you, sorry. But I think with everything that we do, we base it off of the gospel and spreading love and helping those in need.
Anne.
I just have a follow-up question. So how do you integrate those that may be ordained in word and sacrament or word and service?
So so just for an example, on our board of directors, all 3 bishops of the Illinois synods are serve on our board of directors. We have a lot of individual pastors, people in the church who are involved in LSSI and help make LSSI the organization that we are, help steer our vision. But we also have lots of people involved who aren't necessarily practicing Lutherans or anything. We try and really have an open environment so that if you want to support LSSI's programs, we welcome everybody. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that question, you mentioned you have a church partnership with St. Mark's in Aurora. Mm-hmm. And I'm forgetting now which one that was for, or which service, that social service you partnered with them with. But do you have other kind of specific churches that you partner with?
Yeah, we have churches kind of throughout the state. So yeah, St. Mark's has, I think it's their old parsonage is where our autism home is. So we're right on their property. So they support that. And we also, we work with churches kind of all over for different kinds of support. A lot of churches collect like Easter baskets or Christmas gifts for our foster children. I know, so our Visits to Mom and Prisoner and Families Ministries partners with Bethel Lutheran Church in Chicago as kind of like a meeting area. We have some offices in different churches throughout. So there's a lot of different ways that we are supported by churches. Yeah.
I was also wondering, that advocacy event that you mentioned, will that be online as well this year, or what will that look like?
That's virtual, and I believe it's in the morning. If you go to our website, it's just lssi.org. and you can register for that. It's a free event. We're going to have some speakers really talking about, the health and human services, how the bills and things in the Illinois Senate and House are impacting social services. It's a really great event. I don't know a ton about advocacy and that kind of stuff, so I always really appreciate the event because we have a lot of knowledgeable speakers and kind of people telling you ways to get involved and how you can help as well.
And I believe that we have had that feedback in the e-newsletter, so you can also find some information directly toward the e-newsletter.
Great, thanks.
Oh, Joseph, were you going to say something?
Yeah, me again. I just was wondering, Julian, if you could give us an idea of, as far as contribution to LSSI, how much kind of comes from the state, how much comes from local, from people and direct contributions. And I believe your contributions are tax free, right?
Yep, all donations to LSSI are tax deductible. We do get a significant amount of our funding from the state of Illinois, and part of that has to do with the fact that we are a huge foster care provider, so a lot of that funding comes from the Department of Children and Family Services. I would say a lot of our programs it's primarily state funded. We get a little bit of federal funding for the homes for seniors, for low income seniors. Those are HUD housing. And then we get a smaller portion from kind of local governments, United Ways. And then we get a fair amount of funding as well from individuals, congregations, and foundation and corporate support. So the bulk definitely is from this state, but kind of with that, they provide kind of like the base like of how to run the program, but to really make them what they are and make them better is where the private support comes in. So yeah, I think our team that does kind of the individual congregation, foundation type stuff, we raise about $5 million a year for the programs throughout the state.
I had a question too about like, I didn't see all the maps. I found one of the maps, there was like quite a few, the map where there was like a cluster of services in the Northwest, and you said that's where it started, so that's where they were kind of clustered. I'm wondering in general, like how is LSSI working to expand services in like South Chicago? I live in Hyde Park, and well, a few of us here in this call live in Hyde Park on the south part of Chicago. They're very close to the rest of South Chicago. So yeah, I'm just curious. And I know from a previous job I had, there's just not very many mental health services in the South Side, especially, and so like I was wondering, does the mobile crisis unit go to the South Side, and yeah, and what other kind of services are happening, and is there any efforts to expand all the services, LSSI services in South Chicago specifically?
Yeah, so I think a big part of the reason that we kind of are in that Northwest area is because that's where our main office is located in Des Plaines, right by the airport. And then we have another office located called the Portage Cragen Counseling Center. So kind of in that area, which is why you'll see a lot of our stuff started in that area. But we've really recognized the need for services on the south and west side. So we have been expanding that way. I think with the Step Up School-Based Counseling, you can see we started up there, but it's kind of like spread out. So mostly where we're expanding those types of program is to the south and west sides. Our most recent project, Impact, which is the program that services people in the emergency departments, we just opened our newest location at St. Anthony's, which is in the North Lawndale neighborhood. So I think we definitely don't have as much of a presence on the south and west sides, but are working to do that. So, and that's, yeah, the reason that we've really started up. That's kind of where we kind of started, but we've, as we try and expand, we're going that way. So, and our home care services for seniors, it's Cook County, but a lot of it is on the south and west sides as well.
Okay.
But that's in people's homes. So,
Yeah.
we're trying to, a lot of our services, we're really trying to move toward community-based and meeting people where they're at, because you can't always expect people to go to a specific location and that kind of stuff. So as we expand out into the community and stuff, that's part of it as well.
I was also wondering, like, just in general, all the things you mentioned, like, are there waiting lists? Are they like at capacity, or is there, I mean, yeah, I just like a sense of that. Like, are all the services like being utilized to or is there like a need for more funding, more services? So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. So like a lot of our mental health services, we don't turn anyone away. So even if it's them coming to us the first time and then seeing them until we can get them in somewhere more appropriate for their needs, or for what they need. Our senior housing definitely has wait lists, like pretty much, I think, at most locations. And then, but the majority of our programs, so for the children's services, when a family comes to the attention of DCFS, they send them to us. We don't turn anyone away with most of those services. So they're definitely being utilized. And with our substance use, if we are full, we would try and refer somewhere elsewhere, or luckily we have a few different locations, so if people are willing to kind of go to different places. But so for the most part, I think our services are definitely being utilized, but we try our best to see everyone that we can, or at least refer them to a partner or somewhere so that they can get the services that they need right away. Sooner rather than later is always important.
They work with whoever it is to get them the help they need if LSSI can't provide it.
Mm-hmm.
No. Great.
And so, Jillian, is the best way to get people connected with the services to look at the website or is there like one centralized number, or how does that happen? Kind of, because there's so many services, right?
Yes, definitely. So I think the website is a great resource. There's a central intake phone number. I don't have it memorized, but it's on the website for anyone who needs to be referred for like a lot of our mental health or substance use services. And then our website does give a good overview of the programs and is geared more toward people who need assistance too. So it kind of tells you how to go about getting that assistance, whatever you need. So.
And that's just lssi.org.
Yep, just lssi.org. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the only part of our name and everything. It's easy one to remember, but yes, thank you. Or you can also Google Lutheran Social Services of Illinois. But.
Great. Any other final questions?
And anyone can feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share anything. I know Vicar Bethany has my email address. You're welcome to reach out, or if you're interested in getting more involved, I would point you to our website or our Facebook page. So
great. Well, thank you so much, Jillian. It's just been a pleasure to hear about all the amazing work that LSSI is doing, and I look forward to exploring the website a little bit more. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, we look forward to keeping in touch. I will put this video and other videos you've sent me on our website so that all of our folks we'll be directing folks to these resources and this information for the next few weeks. So.
Yes, thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I could talk about LSSI for a long time, so thanks for spending part of your Sunday with me.
Thank you for all you're doing. That's amazing. It's very encouraging.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
and supporting all these great ways of living out our faith and continuing to serve our neighbor in love, especially during a pandemic.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for
All right, take care.
Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you.
Bye.